I would like to begin with a poem in old-fashioned meter. Be good to us, and we'll be good to you.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to journal number 3-1, stardate 75.32. Some of the crew looks weary, don't know if they're gonna make it. That was my William Shatner impersonation. All right, so here on the Failure blog, I got my LeBron James high school jersey on. They just got blown out 2 games in a row in the NBA Finals. Tonight's game 3. Typical fashion of the Failure blog is that, it's not about how... I don't really know where I was going with that. The point is get knocked down 8 times, stand up 9, or whatever it is, bounce back. Failure is how you move forward. So yesterday I was on here, I showed some things. Ron didn't like the logo. Here's the logo I had created. He didn't like it. He said you know what? Sorry, Ben. I keep calling him Ron. It's so bad. He goes by the first part of his last name, Ben, which was his father's first name. He doesn't like to be called Ron anymore. So I always call him Ron. Last night I did the team meeting. Everyone called him Ron. Anyways, he didn't like it. He said it looks like it's too much about him. He wants it to be about the community. He wants it to be about people. Connecting with each other. Connecting communities is the tagline of our campaign. So I said, great. Back to the drawing board. Failure number 4 on the campaign. So I got this image here. Zoom in on it. Some people. So I played with it. I took, let's see, what did I do? First I took the image and I instead applied it to, we'll turn this one off. All right. So I took the color scheme from this logo here, the background color palette, and I just applied it to this. Because my idea with this design is that even what I was going for on here, Ron's base is Haitians and minorities and immigrants. But I chose the different colors. I didn't want to give the exact impression that he was super pro gay marriage. Not that he's not, but just I didn't want people to look at the logo and think, oh, it's gay because of the rainbow. So I kind of blurred the colors together instead of having the sharp, different definitions. But anyways, he liked the colors. And to me, the colors were representative of the community blending together. He thought that was too subtle. He wanted it to be very direct in the logo. So I took the colors and I did it like this right here. I created a background of gray to fill it in. I left a little room for the border. I didn't want the border to be that pronounced, so I created a white kind of like fuzzy square on the outside to kind of make the border a little bit look cool, and it also makes it look kind of, beveled, raised. Also, another thing too is that throughout our campaign, what we've been using is these colors, blue and red, or at least on the little bit of stuff he has. So I didn't want to veer too far away with the rainbow, so I made 2 of the heads red and 2 of the heads blue. I also created a gradient. We'll show this. So I created this layer right here, which is partly you can see through it, but just to kind of shade kind of a red to blue spectrum over everything. So that makes the colors just a little bit more blue and a little bit more red. Then when you add the red and blue heads, you get this. Let's add the background. To illustrate that he wants to connect the community, I took some letters, selected the pixels, created a invert selection, and made an opacity mask to add RB in the middle to show that it is connecting. Then to emphasize the whole connectedness and the people and just the whole thing, I added this little polygon inside. 5-side, what is that called? Pentagram. Pentagram medallion! Pentagram medallion! I love that track. Anyways, so here's the new logo. Boom. All right, another important development is, so given that I'm doing this part-time, you know, and it's my first time in, I have made a commitment to, part of my even motivation is that this is a learning experience for me. I spent this morning talking to the IRS on the phone, learning a little bit about the distinctions between a nonprofit, which is primarily aimed to benefit the community, versus a nonprofit, which is designed to protect members of a political campaign from taxation as they, result in fundraising. And that was very interesting. And also, I'm going to be using the Political Campaign Planning Manual, a step-by-step guide to winning elections by J. Brian O'Day, National Democratic Institute for International Affairs. It was originally created in Russia to win local political campaigns there. It since has been passed around, updated, added to, simplified, rewritten, etc., over and over and over. It is just a great document. It's got everything. We'll just go down to the table of contents. Step 1, research. Step 2, setting a goal. Step 3, targeting voters. Step 4, developing the campaign message. Step 5, developing a voter contact plan. Step 6, making it happen. Blah, 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 blah. So, even though we're late in the game, even though we have very little funds at this current juncture, current keyword, this campaign really helps us, and the good news is we do have a message on our campaign about connecting the community. We do have a team in place. Some other developments is I recruited 2 people. One guy has been an editor and a ghostwriter for me on Cynical Saints. He is super well dressed and very, very strong in connecting with people. He's similar to the candidate himself. He's an amiable, as we call, if you guys study the personality squares. But he has a lot of experience in his employment working with really rich people in Boston. So not only does he have contacts, but he just knows how to, he's just used to the type of things that are on a person's mind who has an excess of money and a great deal of privilege. And that's not the only people that he's good with. He's just got really wonderful relationship building skills. So I brought him on. He's gonna be the, I'm paying him out of my salary. I took my salary and I'm hiring 2 employees out of it, or out of my pocket, I guess you could say. So really, they work for me. But they're both gonna be part-time. He's gonna be reaching out to businesses, forming relationships with business owners. And then I had another guy who I worked with in sales. When I became the manager of training, he took my supervisor job in the sales team that we were on. And he's just a strong salesperson. He's young, good-looking, likable, and he's very used to using a methodical sales pitch and communication. He's very well studied in communication skills, and he's just going to be kind of directing our field efforts and our fundraising and volunteers, and as well as himself doing fundraising. So I got 2 people on with me. So that was a major come up. Last night we had our first team meeting. So my 2 guys came. Ben was super happy to see them there. And this other guy came. This guy named Stevens, plural. He was just awesome. He was so cool. He came in. I believe he's Haitian also. He's actually the fashion designer that did a lot of the fashions for the fashion show fundraiser that Ben held immediately before I came on as an employee. And this guy, Stevens, he started off by saying, we went around and did introductions, I'm like, all right, everybody tell us how you got involved. He starts by saying, I voted for Trump. That's the first thing he said, and it's just like, obviously it's a Democratic campaign. I mean, we're not like, we're professionals. Us three, we're professionals, so we're not gonna get all emotional about people's stances. I mean, that would be ridiculous. But anyway, he was just a really funny guy, and he basically was like, "You guys got to show me that you're different and that you're real and that you're not gonna act like a jerk once you get elected after I vote for you." And so he was real cool, man. And I mean, he showed up. He showed up for the meeting, volunteered of his own time. He helped with the fashion show. I'm sure he didn't make a lot of money off the fashion show. And so yeah, he's a really interesting guy. I hope that he comes back next week. So we had some people there, and I delivered my team meeting message. At this point, the team meetings, the whole purpose of them is who's available on what days, where are we going to go canvassing? Door-to-door canvassing and asking people for their vote, because we don't have a lot of money to spend, and fundraising is like number 2. Canvassing and fundraising, we can also almost put them together, but we need to be out in the streets. So that's the purpose. Every single meeting that I have is going to be like that. But we made some really cool things. I showed them the video interview that I did with Ben. And I'm going to continue to do that. I'm actually going to his house here soon. And I'm going to ask him questions, on these YouTube videos where I'm going to catch him off guard. He's not going to know what the questions are. And, oh man, I want to challenge him in these questions, because the purpose of the YouTube channel, in my mind, is to give people an idea of what it's like to hang out with Ben. Because his strongest asset is his charisma and his genuineness. So his tendency is going to be to avoid telling people things like the fact that he didn't finish medical school, the fact that he is a Protestant. He was he was raised Christian in another denomination. Anyway, he converted to Islam. So he was a Muslim for a period of time, and now he's converted back to Christianity. These are things that he probably, his tendency is to know that these are things that we could call liabilities, or he'd be vulnerable if he was to reveal these things as a potential political candidate. My purpose with the YouTube video channel is to get him to reveal these things. I mean, no one at this point in time has any faith in politicians. So the purpose of the YouTube channel is not for him to make some speech about connecting the community in this euphemistic utopian sense. His thing is talking about connecting the community in terms of human being to human being. So I want to get him to talk about the stuff he doesn't want to talk about, so that if we do start sending this YouTube video out to reporters, potential, people, we're going to start just not spamming, but mass sending it out. And I want people to see that he's a real person. So I want to ask him about all the stuff he doesn't want to talk about on there. That's my goal, because that's what people want right now. People are craving authenticity, So Stevens had some comments about planning the videos and sequencing them and stuff like that. I mean, he's a very design-oriented guy. So that was very helpful. So anyways, that's the update. I've been the campaign manager for about 1 week. I have had a team meeting. I have this guide. I'm going to be going through it. A lot of it involves research. I'm going to put a moratorium on research. I'm going to say, okay, right now it's June. The election is the first week in November. So we're going to do research for 1 month. But once July 4th comes, no more researching. At that point in time, what information we've gathered, we have to just act upon it. And all our focus, at least my time, will be then, utilized towards actually doing and fundraising and going out. So that's the update right now.
Jeez, this tune upon fire. Jeez. You don't know.